Now the other thing that in the before video you'll see that she didn't really have much of a recall, so I'll show you how I've been practicing that. And of course you're using a secure collar, 6-foot leash, just basic dog training stuff. Never doing this, no tight leashes. If by chance you've ever been told, keep the dog close to you like this, well, how in any way, shape, or form is that training? It's forcing the dog to stay next to you, so it's not training, right? We want to train them so that the leash is always loose and the dog is as relaxed and happy as possible, because they'll learn quicker that way anyway. So we're not forcing the dog to stay with us or restraining. And one of the ways that we can achieve that is by teaching a rock-solid recall, because let's say what the usual situation you might encounter is that she wants to pull over to another dog or something like that. And you, of course, if you don't have any kind of training that you use, you're going to restrain her because you don't want her to pull over there, right? But if you had a recall, it would just be an opportunity, come, for you to, good, call her away from that dog there. We'll say the camera's a dog and she wants to go over there. Come. Good. So the way that I taught her how this goes is that I have, you can see, left hand leash, put that loop over your hand. There's no way to lose the leash. That way you don't have to do this or any of that kind of stuff. It just hangs there and your left hand is free. And your right hand is free for the reward. Come. Good. Backing away is super important, because if you don't back away, she's not going to rush to you, and you're not able to establish that pattern of, for the next several hundred times you call her to come to you, all she knows is that she runs to you when she hears that command. If you stand still, it's not going to be half as good. And like I said in the last clip, the down clip, body language is a huge part of dog training. And if you move towards the dog, they tend to run away from you. You stand still, it's not half as good, but you back away, come, and they have no idea, good, why they want to come to you. Now she has an idea. I've practiced calling her to me, you know, a bunch of times, many dozens of times at this point. She's been here a little over a week now. So she knows exactly how it goes, and just like all the dogs, they just can't wait till somebody says come, because come means basically, come here, I just want to give you a gift. And you can call her away from any kind of distraction and keep that leash loose, because obviously if she turns her back on that thing that she's pulling towards and moves away from it and comes towards you, your problem of pulling is gone. And then what happens is you keep practicing that, and there's a pattern that continues, that pretty soon she's just, there's like this little zone around you, and I've seen it happen many times, depending on how well you practice this and how consistent you are, and she just doesn't kind of go out of the zone. So you see she's hanging out more, even on a walk, just like this, not pulling you around so much. But you need to, as soon as you have any kind of pulling at all, practice your recall. Left hand leash, right hand reward. The other thing I didn't mention is the target. Closed hand target, because this is geared to work with no leash and no treat, because we're always practicing for a crisis situation. She's loose, all you have is your come command and nothing else, no treat, no leash, and so this has got to work that way. So even now, see, it's empty, but she doesn't know it's empty. And so if she was loose on the street, and I've been practicing this recall for a month or so, it even, with her, it even might work now, because she's so smart. But come, see, she doesn't know this is empty. She's just going to come to this target. Good girl, good, and I'm going to love her up. See, that having that left hand free is super important, because if there's not a leash, you hook it under a collar. So you always want to have the dog be used to feeling that you have the collar, you have the leash, because most dogs over time, if you only do this, good, they'll take the treat and run off. So always make sure your left hand, because it's free anyway, grabs a collar or leash, and then you have her and she's safe, and you could save her life that way someday. Just pretend like you have the food. But when you practice, you do have a treat. And the other thing, so now she won't stop staring at me. So if you're practicing by yourself, this might happen. Create your own distraction. Toss the treat, come. Call her away from it. Good. Let her take it, but call her before she turns back to you. You saw how I just did it. Did you catch that whole thing? And that's what you always want to practice, calling her away. You notice every time I called her to come here in this little clip here, she's been away from me. She's been looking at the camera person or over there or at the treat. Don't practice calling her when she's looking at you lovingly, because that's not a real life situation. A real life situation is she's paying attention to something else, she hears a command, she breaks away from it, comes running back to you, gets paid. Also timing, come. Good. Everything's timed together. The good, the treat, and the pet, it all happens at once. So later on when the treat is not there, she barely misses it. I'm practicing this mat exercise to teach her a downstay, and it really is a fast track to teaching a dog a downstay, because they get used to doing one behavior on this mat, on this piece of fabric, whatever you decide to designate as the mat when you take her home. If you choose to continue doing this, use it only for this one thing. I put it down with her already on a leash, so she can't just go run over and hang out on it. It's not a doggy bed. You can't use a doggy bed or anything else that she has any association with. You have to have something that's brand new, and you create this one association with this mat, this piece of fabric, and it is, you go there and you go down when we give the command, and you stay there until you're released. And you only leave when you're released, and that's how we practice the downstay. And we've been practicing this for just a little over a week. She's here for a very short stay, so we just started the training. She was kind of a little bit shy and insecure at first, and so we had to take it slow for the first few days until she started to feel safe and I could do things with her so it wouldn't spook her. So now after 8 or 9 days, it's been something like that. You see how far we've gotten so far. Okay, so this is the way that I do this exercise every day. Walk her up to the mat, have her sit. She's next to you on your left with your right hand. You're going to pat her chest and say, go to your mat, walk her over, and then down. And notice that I said the command and I lured her there at the same time. I didn't say it and then lure her down. Everything is simultaneous, so that good, the lure goes away and you say the word later on and you don't need to lure her anymore. So this is just something I do in the beginning to help the dogs get it. And you notice that we have a little stay here. We're not saying stay, we don't say stay anymore. When we practice sit, stay is implied because we teach the dog to wait until they're released, and the same thing with down. You don't have to do the old-fashioned thing with the stay and the hand signals and all that. Just down, and then practice ever-increasing, good, ever-increasing periods of time where she stays there until you come back next to her. She only leaves this place like this. She waits till you come back next to her, pat your leg and say, okay, walk her off the mat, say sit, and then pat her chest to release her, go. And like I said, she just started doing this, so we're not insisting that she do everything absolutely perfectly. She's obviously a super happy and very spirited dog with a lot of energy, and now that she's getting comfortable, she's way happier. But she could easily be spooked, and so I'm always careful to take it slow with the dog, and gradually, as we go on, I pay attention to more of the details and make sure that they're doing it more and more perfectly after they kind of know the basics of what we're doing. So I'm just going to do this, okay, 2 more times. And also I just want to point out that I'm using a 6-foot leash. Sit. Not a shorter leash, which she had before. You need a 6-foot leash because your biggest enemy with any dog in dog training is a tight leash. So you're not doing this anymore. There's never a tight leash. If you want to use a leash, it's tap and release, tap and release. And we're never using a harness, even though she's still wearing her harness. She came attached to the leash on her harness. But we're using just a regular, wide, flat collar, can't hurt her throat. Plus, since we're never doing this anyway, there's no way to choke her because the leash is never tight. It's just tap and release. So using the collar is a really important thing to add to this whole training regimen with her, because you'll get so much more out of using the collar than using the harness. Harness is not great for training because it promotes pulling. They pull from their chest, so if you attach a harness to her and she feels that tension on her chest, she's going to want to pull more. Just that's why they would hook up dogs to a sled wearing harnesses. So it's not a good training device. That's why we want to use a secure collar that I have on now. And there's a couple of flies around here, and she's really into insects, so that's what she's paying attention to now. So I've been talking this whole time. She's been in a sit stay. She's on my left with my right hand. Go to your mat, down. And now you see how since I've been luring her down for the last good week or so, now I can just say it and she goes down. So that was just to show you how quickly it can work if you do it the way that I've been doing it. But good, whoever is going to continue training her, you're going to have to do it the way I started out doing it, the way I did it the first time. And I'll do it again right now just to show you. Okay. And I'm not going to have her sit at the end of it. I'm just going to step into her, do a left turn. You see this whole thing that I'm doing? Always stepping into her. If she goes ahead, tap and release. Sit. She wanted to get up and go, so what did I do? I went like that, and she went back into the sit. Go to your mat, down. See how that works? Good. Always put the reward on the mat in front of her, between her feet, like that. Okay, one last time. Left turn. Body language is very important in dog training. Another left turn, sit. It's the most dominant move in dog training, I think, is stepping into her, using your body. You're literally herding her with your body. You're not turning right and dragging her around on a tight leash. You see that when I turn left, keeps the leash loose. If she's always being handled on a loose leash from now on, just that in itself is going to make her relax over time, because every day somebody puts her on a leash and it's all like this, attached to a harness, which makes her pull. She's just going to be stressed out, and it's not going to help her at all to be stressed out and controlled like this, but it does help her to use a collar instead, a safe collar that won't come off, wide and flat like she's wearing now, and never having a tight leash, but communicating through taps and body language like you see me doing here. One last time, and now I'm going to go back to the way I did it the first time, which is what you're going to have to continue, I think, because she's not going to automatically have it down with you, because in her mind, she only does this with me right now because it's all brand new behavior. So you're going to say, okay, you're going to walk her over to the mat, and you're going to say, with a treat, you're going to say down. And then when her butt hits the ground, good, and both elbows are on the ground like that, on the mat, that's when she gets the treat. Do it exactly like you just saw me do it. Good. Do that for a week or so, or 5 or 6 or 7 days. Good. And then you should be able to do what I'm able to do now, which is, okay, come on. See how I'm never dragging her anywhere? If she lags behind, I just use a little bit of a leadership energy and say, okay, and I walk forward and she follows me. Sit. Go to your mat. Down. Good. And notice that I say good at the moment I give her the treat. Because later on, someday when she's really well trained, you're going to phase out the treats. And actually, I usually phase out the treats for most things in 3 to 5 weeks. So we're saying good at the very moment that we give her a treat right now. Good. Later on, you're going to say good and pet her, and she's going to think she got a treat. So that's how far we've gotten with the downstay now. And the reason for using the mat, instead of practicing maybe on cement, on the grass, on the hardwood floor, on the linoleum, you just practice on this, and then once she doesn't make any more mistakes in one place, then you can move that mat to another location, and she'll be just as good there, because all she ever does on that mat is do the downstay, and it makes it a lot faster for the dog to have confidence in different situations doing the downstay, and just accelerates the training by using the mat. And then later on, and she gets up, by the way, because I'm talking too much, you say no. You do that, do a little do-over like that. Gently but firmly put her back. See how I'm just applying a little bit of tension there on the leash, just a little bit. Not forcing her down, but just trying to make her, give her a hint. Good, giving her a hint that she should release that pressure of the leash and go back into her down. She made that choice, and when she did, I paid her. So in her mind already, she's thinking, all I have to do is stay in this place, or when I go to this place, this position, good stuff happens. So at every chance I get, good, I'm rewarding her for just doing that. And when she chooses to go back down there, even though I helped her with the tension, she still chose to go there, and she got paid for it, which pretty quickly enables you to forego the whole standing on the leash at all, because later on she's just going to be loving to go there because she gets paid for that. So we're going to finish this up now. Okay, sit, and to release her, you pat her chest with your right hand. Go, and she's free. Always pick up this mat immediately, because she's going to want to run back over there and hang out on this. This is not a doggy bed. It's not a mat that just lays there. You'll dilute the power of this exercise if you let her run across this or hang out on it or use it for free time. Only use this the way I showed you. She needs your permission to go on. She needs your permission to come off, and then it gets put away. It's only for this one exercise. And ideally, you work your way up to doing 5 minutes at a time and walking around her both ways, walking away, coming back, going outside, knocking on the door, ring the doorbell, coming back, rewarding her. And on my my YouTube channel with dogs that have finished this 3-week program, you can see us doing it here in the yard and leaving the yard from all different directions, coming back, also inside the house. Banging on the windows, and they will not get up after 3 weeks. So you can see how doing it this way would progress to a really solid downstay. This is Baby, and Baby just arrived a little while ago today, and this is Baby's before video. We're going to see what Baby can do. As you know, we always only say the commands once. So how about come? There's no recall. So somebody practiced sit, but they haven't practiced come. How about a down? And I'll even help her a little by just applying a little bit of pressure. I'm going to break a rule because most people always repeat the command, so I'm going to say it again. Down. Okay, so she doesn't have a down, and she doesn't have a, we'll do the come one more time too. Come. Okay, so she has no come and no down, and she's, I guess she's a little bit shy with other dogs as well. We have a dog that is coming out. Make sure you're showing me. And you can just have him sit and let him be free. And show me. And so she sees this dog, and you're going to just walk around. Don't come up to us, but kind of walk past us. Walk around. She looks interested in this dog here, but stay away from us though. Don't come over to us. Just go back over there. I'm not seeing aggression here, and she acts like she wants to maybe be friends. And there's no pulling on the leash. If I said, come, that doesn't work because she doesn't have a recall yet, but we'll work on that. So this is how she's reacted to a dog just showing up in a yard. This yard's a small yard as well, so it's not terrible.